Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. One of the reasons I started sharing my story with everyone was to try and show people how much losing your sight can affect your mental health, which it did with me really, really badly. So I'm going to be talking to you about that today. So when I was 13, around 13, I was diagnosed with glaucoma, and when I was 23, it got out of control, and the pressure in my eyes really built up to the extreme that I ended up losing a lot of my sight. And I had an operation to try and bring down the pressure, which did help. And it did stop me from losing all of my sight, luckily. But there was still a lot of permanent damage done and a lot of sight that I would never get back. But at the time, I was led to believe that everything would just go back to normal, and that everything would be fine. And things did improve after the operation. Improved quite a lot, and it was looking really hopeful. But then, after about 6 months, I think, around 6 months of improvement, it just kind of stopped, and it was going so well, and every day I would find something new that I could see better and see more clearly, and it was so exciting and good and reassuring, and it felt amazing, and all of that just seemed to stop, and it seemed to be just kind of stuck, like it had finished. I was just stuck where I was, and I was thinking, this can't be it. It needs to get better than this, because it's nowhere near what it was yet. Nowhere near. It's a lot better than it was at its worst, but it's nowhere near what it was at its best. And I kept thinking, this can't be it. Let's go further than this. Let's go better than this. And I kept hoping, and the doctors still kept telling me that things should go back to normal. It's just going to take time, and it never did. It just stopped there. And eventually I came to realise that this is it. This is what my sight is going to be like from now on, and it's never going to get back to what it was. However much I hope and wish for it, it's not going to happen. But I couldn't accept that. I was in denial for a long time. Very, very, very long time. I just kept thinking, I just want to go back. I want to go back to how my life was. I want to go back to who I was. I want my sight back. And it just wasn't happening. But this couldn't be happening. It had to go back. And I just couldn't accept what was happening to me. And it changed everything. There was so much going on in my head, so much negative stuff, so much fear and anxiety, and stress and anger, just feeling really overwhelmed and out of control, and there was just so much horrible stuff going on. I was really depressed and just getting more and more depressed because I just wanted my life back. And it really did change everything in my life. Nothing was ever the same again because it made me feel different. I wasn't me anymore. I needed too much help, which I didn't like. I was never the most independent person in the world, not at all. I always relied on people, maybe a bit too much, but this was just too much. I needed too much help. Things like reading, writing, using computers, using phones, going out, eating a meal, looking for things, just everything became such a huge challenge. Pouring a drink in a glass without spilling it, picking up the right thing on my fork. I can go for a potato and end up with a bit of meat, and I don't always realise, and not till I go to eat it, and then I'm disappointed. But anyway, so my point is the most simple things that we all take for granted, I couldn't do anymore. Not in the same way. And I didn't like needing so much help. I wanted to be independent and be able to do things by myself. It felt like I'd gone back to being a child in a way. I was 23 and I'd gone past my teenage years and I was just finally starting to feel like an adult and getting a life for myself, and then that happened and it felt like I was going backwards instead of moving forwards, and growing up I was going back into a child, and I didn't like that at all. I didn't like being so dependent on people. I didn't like needing somebody with me when I went out because I wasn't confident enough to go on my own. I didn't like asking people to read things for me. I just didn't like any of it, and I couldn't accept any of it. And it made me feel different around people because people weren't just my family and my friends anymore. They were my carers, and I didn't like putting that responsibility on them, and I didn't like I didn't like needing a carer, and it just didn't feel right, especially with my friends. I didn't see my friends for a long time because I just couldn't accept that they were going to have to take care of me, and I knew they'd do a good job. They'd do a really good job, but I didn't want to be the child-like person that they looked after. I wanted to be one of them, and I wouldn't feel like one of them because I needed too much looking after. What I didn't realise at the time is that they've always looked after me anyway. I've always been one of them, but they've still looked after me because we all look after each other, because that's what friends do. And I just couldn't see that at the time. I couldn't see anything positive at the time. The whole world had ended. And I just couldn't find a way to move on and move forward. I wouldn't accept help. I wouldn't accept what was happening to me. I was just constantly in denial and wishing my life would go back to how it was. And I was like that for a good few years. Really, really long time. Good few years of just torturing myself, wishing that life would go back to how it was when it clearly was never going to, but I just couldn't take it in. There was so much to process. I heard a while ago somebody described it as they said that losing your sight is like grieving, because you're grieving for the sight that you've lost and that you're never going to get back, and also you're grieving for the person you used to be and the life you used to have that you're not going to get back. And your life has changed forever, and you can't change that. Nothing will ever change that. You just have to try and live with it, work with it, move on with it, and make the best of it. And I heard this a while ago after I'd come to terms with everything, but I thought that was a really accurate description of what it feels like, or at least it was for me. It was like grieving. My old life had gone, the old me had gone, and my sight had gone, and nothing was ever going to bring any of that back, ever. All I could do was try and move on, find a way forward. And the thing is, I just couldn't seem to do that. eventually one day it did seem to sink in that I did need to do something about it. I did need to try and move on, and I did need to accept what was happening to me, and eventually I did. After a long time, long time of torturing myself and causing the people around me a lot of stress and not very good times, I did eventually come through that with their support and with the support of my friends, and I did eventually get there. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you can't rush it. It just happens when it happens. One day something just clicked and I just thought, right, this is it. Enough's enough. I need to move on. And I need to start making an effort and trying to move on. Because I can't carry on going around in circles like this, wishing that my life would go back to how it was when it never will. And but yeah, you can't just rush to that point. You can't just make that point happen. Or at least I don't think you can. It'll happen when it happens. And from the people I've spoke to more recently in recent years, that point comes with different people at different times. Some people, they accept it pretty quickly, and it's still hard and horrible for them, obviously, but they accept it pretty quickly. And then other people, it takes years, and everybody's different. Everybody deals with it differently. Everybody has different lives, different psych conditions, but the point I'm trying to make is that losing your sight isn't just a case of your eyes don't work properly anymore. There's so much more to it than that. It can change your whole life forever. And I just want to say to anybody that is going through this now that you might feel really alone. You might feel really, really, really alone. But you're not. There are people out there that have been through the same thing and that want to help, and they'll be happy to talk to you. You just need to reach out and ask for help and support. And remember that it's not the end. life will get better. My life is actually better in some ways now than it was when I had my sight. I obviously still wish I did have my sight and my independence, but in some ways it has changed my life for the better. And you can find new ways of doing things. I know it's not what you want. I know it's not how you want things to be. But it really isn't the end. You can get through this, and you will get through this. You just need to find a way through. Reach out to the people around you. Reach out to the people who understand. And there'll always be somebody out there that's happy to help. And feel free to leave a comment on my YouTube channel or on my blog or on my Facebook or Twitter pages. You'll find the links to them on the channel. Feel free to get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you and try and help if I can. And a bit of advice to anybody that is helping somebody through this is to please try and be patient with them. Don't rush them into anything, because there will be so much going on in that person's head, so much that you will never believe. And things may seem really straightforward from the outside, but from the inside, it's just confusing and chaotic and horrible and traumatic, and there's just so much to deal with and process and take in. So, if you are helping somebody in this situation, please don't rush them. Please be patient and understanding and supportive. And eventually, together, you'll find a way to move forward, but you can't rush it. It will happen when it happens. And until then, you just have to try and keep supporting each other. Because it does affect the people around us too. It affects the people that turn into the carers. And we're all in this together, and we all have to work through this together. And if you are new to this, you will find a way together. Just need to work together, be patient with each other, understanding with each other, and you'll get there eventually. So please try and stay positive and remember that it's not the end. You can get through this, and you will. So I think I'm done for now anyway. Thank you for watching, and if you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to read my blog, it's at myglitterinthedarkness.com, and you'll find a link to that and my Twitter and Facebook page on the About section of my YouTube channel. So please do get in touch if you feel like you want to. It'd be great to hear from you. So thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.